Hello and welcome to the podcast on lead-acid batteries by Ramesh Natarajan. With industry experience of over 42 years, Ramesh helps battery and battery-related industries with technical inputs and provides solutions to typical problems faced by manufacturers, service personnel, as well as users of batteries and related equipments. Do visit www.rameshnatarajan.in to stay connected. Enjoy the session.
Hello and welcome to this episode of my podcast. Today I am going to enlighten my listeners on the topic of dry charging. I will specifically focus on using dry charge negative plates to ensure that the SMF, that is sealed maintenance free batteries, are of good quality. The manufacture of SMF batteries is not easy as that of flooded electrolyte vented type batteries. One main reason for this is that an SMF battery has limited electrolyte and the specific gravity of this electrolyte cannot be measured. As you know, the three critical components in a reaction in lead acid batteries are positive plates, negative plates and electrolyte, that is sulphuric acid. In normal vented type flooded electrolyte batteries, extra electrolyte can easily be accommodated in the battery cell. The specific gravity can also be measured at different charging stages and the end of charging and adjusted even at the end. However, in the case of valve regulated maintenance free batteries, the electrolyte is restricted. These are starved electrolyte batteries. Measurement of specific gravity is possible at the time of filling acid and not thereafter. The electrolyte plays a crucial role in lead acid batteries. The cells must have the correct volume and specified specific gravity, especially towards the end of charging and before use. The specific gravity and volume must be consistent in all the battery cells. So what does one do? The battery manufacturer often uses an acid filling machine which ensures accurate volume filling. Specific gravity checks and periodic acid stirring to prevent acid stratification are also done or presumed to have been done as a routine part of reasonable process control. Of course, this is done before filling the batteries with acid. We all know that the temperature rises when acid is added to a battery. This rise has to be restricted since we do not want the internal components of the battery to heat up and get damaged. Most battery manufacturers get around this problem by using chilled or cooled acid. Again, battery manufacturers are supposed to relate the specific gravity to the temperature of the acid used for filling. Let us presume that this is also part of the manufacturing process. So far, so good. Now let me come to the problematic part, and that is control and monitoring. We do not know what happens here, primarily when the manufacturer uses unformed plates to assemble an SMF battery or cell. The battery may have been assembled with care as regards uniformity of plate weights, proper pitch of assembly, uniform compression of separators, correct bus bar thickness and width, etc., etc. However, if the plates vary in the level of sulfation, the acid's specific gravity will change after the filling. Different battery cells will have different specific gravity inside these cells before the charging starts. This can happen despite the filling volume and specific gravity being the same. So you see, this is very important. Variation in sulfation of the plates. We usually concentrate on low temperature of filling acid, correct volume of acid in each cell, temperature corrected uniform specific gravity of acid, filling of acid into the cells after stirring to ensure that there is no stratification, etc. etc. But these have no meaning if the specific gravity of acid in different cells vary before the start of initial charging. Surely the individual cells shall have varied specific gravity at the end of charging if the plates inside have varying sulfation levels at the start of charging. Now, varied specific gravity at the end of charging means variation in cell voltages and internal resistance of these cells. This inconsistency needs to be avoided since it is undesirable. Now, how can this be done? One way is to control processes in the mixing and curing departments and procure uniform quality oxide. This is easier said than done. The other way to resolve this problem is to form the plates before assembly. I would personally recommend that the negative plates be also dry charged after formation. Let it not be formed and dried like the positive plates. Let me explain what happens when we form and dry charge the negative plates. When we form the plates, the lead sulfate active material from the positive plates get converted to lead dioxide, that is PbSO4 becomes PbO2. The lead sulfate active material from the negative plates get converted to sponge lead, that is PbSO4 in the case of negatives become Pb. This is a redox reaction. The positive plates oxidation and the negative plates reduction co-occur, that is they happen simultaneously. Once formed, we have the plates, the positives as PbO2 and the negatives as Pb. Now PbO2, that is lead dioxide, is stable in atmospheric conditions and can be washed with water and dried. The negative plates removed from the formation and kept out get heated up when left exposed in the atmosphere. This exothermic reaction is due to sponge lead oxidation which occurs in the presence of moisture. Preventing this oxidation is necessary because the sponge lead negative plates that are oxidized are discharged during this process. Now the question is, how do we prevent this oxidation of charged negative plates? The process is known as dry charging. It involves drying the formed negative plates after formation charging in an atmosphere devoid of oxygen. Various methods such as kerosene and wax coating, pant press, vacuum chamber and inert gas ovens are available for this process. The purpose of dry charging is basically to prevent oxidation and thereby the discharge of the formation process completed charged negative plate. I shall explain in detail the process of dry charging in another podcast episode. You can tune into that episode to understand the process of dry charging, the reactions therein, and the finer nuances of the dry charging process. Regarding maintenance-free batteries, I strongly recommend using formed positive plates and dry charged negative plates for battery assembly. This will eliminate cell or battery performance variations and ensure a consistent quality product. Battery manufacturers who form the plates and do not dry charge the negatives after formation can also improve battery performance and reduce the charging time of the assembled battery if they opt for the dry charging process. So you see that the process of dry charging is very important in the case of sealed maintenance-free batteries, and I hope this episode was useful to all the listeners. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Please do visit www.rameshnatrajan.in. Keep yourself updated about our new releases by hitting the subscribe button.